This is the third time I've flown with the new propeller. What you're going to be witnessing here is a takeoff on runway 23 at the Walterboro, South Carolina Airport, RBW. I'm pulling out to the runway now and preparing for takeoff. Unfortunately, the noise in the camera is pretty distracting, so I'm going to talk you through what we're doing right here. You'll see the airspeed building up. I'm getting close to rotation speed. I yank it a little bit hard there, it settles back. I drop the nose some, pick up some airspeed, and we're off. Location of the camera is such that you can't really see the horizon. You can catch the horizon on the display directly in front of me. You see a turn out here to the left. Dropping the nose a little bit, picking up some more speed. I roll out for a very short crosswind, then I roll into downwind. As you can tell, the day is pretty hazy out there, a little fire going. Wind's very calm, favoring runway 23 at about 5 knots. We're settling in for the downwind portion. As I drop the nose, as I cut the power back a little bit, we're just starting right about here. A little roll out to the right, getting too close to the runway on downwind. There we go. Engine speeds back. Recalling rolling into the left base for 2-3 at this particular point. Not only am I getting used to the new propeller, but I'm also getting used to the handling of the airplane. Total time at this point in time is about 8.5 hours on the airframe. Here's your base leg, maintaining shallow turn. We'll drop it down and start into the final approach. On this, at the next approach, going to be a low approach. Catch the VASI on the left. Most of this is just controlling airspeed. You can watch the airspeed indicator just to the right of the turner bank. I'm going to add power shortly. Pick it up rather than do a touch and go. Saves on the tires, but serves the purpose of what I'm trying to learn with the airframe. Here's power coming in now. Nose will come up. Airspeed stabilize. Get a positive rate of climb. To lose the horizon, you can pick it up on the EFIS directly in front of me. That hand movement for slight adjustment to the mixture, watching the exhaust gas analyzer. Flashing numbers in front of me directly in the center of the panel of the fuel pressure gauge. That's a digital you see flashing, and an analog Here's your crosswind turn. Canard flyers will note there's not much rudder used on this, if any rudder. Spot slip is the only time you use it to keep the landings on the runway. In the turns, there's no rudder used at all. Notice the ball stays centered. Here we're going into the downwind portion. We're going to do the same thing on this flight. Again, I'm a little bit close to the runway and I make a slight turn out. We'll do the same thing on this. We'll make a low approach. It's a little bit lower on this next one, as you'll see. The three lights up on the panel, the leftmost light is the injectors. The next one to the right is the coils. Directly to the right is the number 1 fuel pump. Then you'll see a blank. That's number 2 fuel pump in that blank, which is a standby pump. There's your base turn right there. The next light is the alternator field, kind of directly below the compass, slightly to the left. There's turn to final right here. The indicator light just to the right of it is a cooling fan, which I leave on for these short runs, climb out of light, pick up sun, slight overshoot on that final approach. Then I have marker lights, which is not turned on right now. I do the strobes. This next light lit. The blank spot in between, I'm adjusting altimeter, which I didn't do on takeoff, is for the landing lights. That's blanked out, and then all the way to the right is my avionics switch. You'll see it's come down a little bit. I'll hold it down and we'll get a little bit lower. There we go, bring the nose up, add some power. Airspeed come up. On either side of the fuel pressure gauge are my fuel tanks, which are on the straight. The one on the left indicates nearly empty, the one on the right indicates better than half full. The plane is flown only on the right tank most of the time. The fuel comes from that tank through the pump, through the injector rails, and the bypass goes back to the right tank. When the right tank gets to a point that it's low, I switch to the left tank. The fuel goes from there through the pump, injectors, but then goes overflow, or the excess goes back to the right tank, filling the right tank as I fly along. And then when the right tank comes up in level, I switch back to it. And of course that means I don't use the left tank anymore. We'll be making that turn to the left base here very shortly. Power's back on this one. We're starting our let down, straight down on the downwind. Here's our turn to the left base for 2-3. Power's back. Slightly nose low attitude. This is about my base position right there, leveling slightly. And here's our turn to final. This will be a full stop landing. It's a great day for flying. It's very calm, but kind of ugly dark. A lot of pine pollen or plant pollen in the air, and we're lining up. You see that airspeed indicator, the right dial. If you can't see the ribbon on the EFIS display in the video, unless you were to stop it, you might pick it up. Notice I never get below the red on the VASI indicator. I'm going to come down here. Notice the airspeed's bled down pretty well. But as I come down over the approach end, I pull the power back, nose up, and I float. Float quite a bit. Here again, learning to finish. Raise the nose down, wheels are down, we're down. I let it roll along pretty well here without any brake until I get up to the turn off for the terminal area. No use in jumping on the brakes and getting the discs hot, which are right next to that composite landing gear. Here's my turn off. Yeah, up in between the hangars is a friend of mine, so I'm going to reach up over here and I'm going to turn on, flash the landing lights at him. He's right in between two of those hangars right ahead. There's a flash of the landing lights. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to taxi down on the main apron past some old hangars. I'll make a turn around and come directly to my hangar door. That front nose wheel has a compression spring on it. Bounce along pretty good. I never have gotten any vibration off that wheel, any wobble or castering problems with it. I've got the bell valve washers tightened up pretty tight, and I have a slightly negative, about a 2-degree axis tilt. There's my hangar mates, RV6A. Nice thing about this airplane, with a pressure prop in the back, I can pull right up to the hangar and run it. I don't throw any dust or anything into the hangar. I could literally drive it into the hangar without any trouble at all, but in order to put the thing to bed, I have to turn it around 180 degrees. I'll go ahead, I'm shutting things down there, shut the radio off, avionics master, shut my strobes off. That's my cooling fan right there. The next one is the field to the alternator. Then I'll actually let the pressure stay up in the pumps. I won't shut it off. I'll turn it off with a key like you would a car. Then I turn off those last 3 switches. Canopy goes up, the camera's mounted it, and we're there.